Hello, thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my PowerPoint presentation that I have made for students of the lab that I teach. This assignment is for PIDP 3351, and this is assignment number 1. So in this assignment, we are trying to create a material to teach our learners about the growth and learners mindset. You'll notice right on my cover page here, I've included a reference for the Stanford Teaching Commons. I found this document to be really extremely helpful, this resource. It had a lot of ideas about how to cultivate a growth mindset in the classroom. So a lot of the sort of the key points in my PowerPoint come from ideas that I got from that website. All right, so let's jump right in here. First, I start by explaining to my students that I also was a student of the same program that they were in. I describe a few of the struggles that I had, and I talk about how I kind of came to know about the growth mindset. When I was a student in this program a few years back, my son was in grade 4, and he was learning about the growth mindset. So I explain this to my students sort of as a way to make it feel more personable, and also to tell them that I have struggled too, that struggles are a part of how we learn and how we grow. And one of the things that the Stanford reference that I was talking about refer to is modeling effort. So it's kind of is the beginning of me modeling the effort that I had to go through as well. I then just do a little bit of explaining about the mindset theory, going right from the basics, assuming that the students have not ever even heard of this theory before. And I talk about what it means to have a fixed mindset, what it means to have a growth mindset, just really basically explaining what these concepts mean to the student. I really liked these graphics that I came across. It talks about, the first graphic with the white background talks about the mindset beliefs. So these are things we might say to ourselves if we have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And then the graphic with the yellow background talks about actions that might come from those beliefs that we tell ourselves. So an example would be if you have a fixed mindset, you think that failure is the limit of your abilities, and maybe that manifests itself as avoiding challenges. So I really liked the way this was presented. Made sense to my mind. I'm hoping that my students enjoy it as well. I then go on to talk a bit about the learner's mindset. So even though I had heard of the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, I had never heard the concept of the learner's mindset. So that kind of takes it one step further, and I wanted to explain this to my students as well. A little bit more about the learner's mindset. And then I talk about how developing a growth mindset or a learner's mindset doesn't just happen overnight. It takes effort. It takes many things, which we're going to jump into here now. So what is required for a growth learner's mindset? Here I explain to my students that in order for a growth and a learner's mindset to develop, we need to have an understanding that the brain can adapt and change. I find this information so fascinating because I was always taught that the neural connections that you make as a child, those are all you get. You can't build more. If you damage them, you can't regrow them. And now we know through the study of neuroplasticity that that's just not true. And this gives me a lot of hope as an older learner. It provides me with the concept that I can just keep growing and keep learning. And I hope that my students feel that way as well when they learn this information. We also need a culture of risk-taking. We need an emphasis on effort and persistence and improvement rather than results. A learner-centered classroom is required. There needs to be trust between the students and instructors. We need reminders, repetition, and practice. So this isn't just a one-time thing. We need to be focusing on a growth learner's mindset throughout our learning journey, throughout our courses, throughout our programs. And we need timely feed forward provided immediately so that we can reflect and we can grow. And I get a little more into the feed forward a bit later on. So this page is how I will support the development of the learner's mindset in the student. And so a lot of these ideas started from the Stanford reference that I was speaking about, and then I have my own ideas tossed in there as well. So I think it's really important as an instructor to focus on the mindset theory with a variety of activities and throughout the course. It's really important to have repetition. This isn't just a one-time, I'll explain it to you and then you'll have it type of situation. This is a shift in mindset, so it's really important that we keep thinking about it throughout the program. I will support a culture of risk-taking by allowing you to resubmit assignments as many times as you'd like. This gives a chance to reflect on feed forward. And so I think it's really important, especially in the type of course that I teach, where it's a lot of hands-on learning, to give students feedback right away, feed forward, and keep building on that. So an example of resubmitting assignments would be during our assessments, it's not a you either pass or fail. It's you keep trying until you are successful in the assessment. So students can try as many times as they like to pass their assessment and move on to the next step in what we're doing in the labs. I then go on to explain what feed forward is. It's similar to feedback, but it emphasizes future-oriented solutions instead of highlighting what is done incorrectly. I talk about how I will use many approaches to create a learner-centered classroom. This is a classroom where ideas can be shared freely and students can challenge information they receive if they don't understand it or don't agree with it. So I think it's really important to have a learner-centered classroom so that students feel that they can contribute and can reflect and can ask the questions they really want to ask so that they can expand their knowledge. I will assign work that allows for growth, reflection, and improvement. I think it's really, really important to provide many opportunities for reflection. And so I will continue to design reflection activities that ask questions that focus on the journey and growth. And then my last point here, I will provide feed forward that focuses on the journey instead of the outcome. So I'm always working to provide feed forward that encourages the student and focuses on where we're going, moving forward. And then I have some points here about how the student can support their own learning journey. They sort of build on the things we've already talked about, so reminding yourself that your brain can grow and change, continuing to educate yourself about the mindset theory and continuing to be curious. This is a big one. When provided with the opportunity to reflect, dedicate a good amount of time to this activity. I really want them to understand that reflection is really a key component of what we're doing. I often feel like students think that the reflection piece is just the kind of the piece that we make them do, but it's not really that important. And I really want them to know that it's very important to reflect and think about where they're going next. I want them to refer back to course outcomes often. I think this is important to remind themselves what the goal is and why this goal matters. We know that adult learners are really motivated, have a larger motivation when they know why they are doing something. Ask lots of questions and engage fully in classroom discussions, and embrace the power of yet. So if you can't do a task, add yet to the end of that sentence. I can't do it yet. I have a cute little yeti there to remind people of the power of yet. And then just sort of a recap in pictures here. We've got the Yeti, or the power of Yet. We are a team. This is a student-centered classroom where you can ask questions and we will talk about it. The brain is a muscle. As we know, we can build neurons. Self-reflection and experimentation are really important. So that's the end of my presentation. This is something that I would show my students at the start of the course that I teach them. And then I would also have many other opportunities throughout to talk about growth mindset, and I would incorporate